Hi everyone, it's Caris. Today I wanted to share with you some of the books I've bought recently through a little book haul. I have bought a few books since coming back to BookTube, and I think this is because I've really been trying to pick up some different things, stray away from what I might usually have tended to go for, and just find out what my new reading tastes are, what I enjoy reading nowadays, because while I still do enjoy reading the sorts of things that I was reading 3, 4, 5 years ago, I feel like there are so many more things that I could discover. What I've actually been doing is going into a lot of charity shops and just browsing the shelves, and if I see something that I've heard people talk about or something that I'm just intrigued by, then I tend to pick it up because they're only £1 or a couple of pounds. So I'm going to talk about the books that I've bought from the charity shops first, because I feel like I've found some good things in them. I feel like, having got a lot more familiar with my local charity shops over the past few months, I feel like there are a lot of really good finds that you can get in there, and I feel like there's people in some of them that have the same reading taste as me. Like, I always have more success in certain ones than others, and I'm like, is there someone there reading the same sorts of books as me? There's also certain books nowadays that I feel like I'm just holding out on being in a charity shop, or seeing it in my library. So for example, The Secret History by Donna Tartt is one that I really want to read, but I know that I've seen that in charity shops before, so I'm just waiting and holding out until either it's on the shelves at my library or I see it in a shop. So first up, I've got 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. All that I know about this is that it's going to be very suspenseful. I think it's a thriller or that sort of thing, like a mystery. The back basically says, 1 luxury retreat in the middle of nowhere, 10 days in which no one can leave, 9 strangers seeking perfection and each discovering the perfect lie. So that to me just sounds so intriguing, and I've never read a Leanne Moriarty book before, but I do know that I really tend to enjoy things that are focused on mysteries, so I'm hoping that this will be a good pick. And also I feel like it's one that I can pass on to my mom because it's the sort of thing that she would really enjoy as well. Next I have another mystery, and that is A Gathering Light by Jennifer Donnelly. So that to me just gives me perfect vibes for October and the spooky season coming up, so it's probably going to be one that I get to next month. But yeah, it sounds really intriguing. I'm 99% sure I've read another Jennifer Donnelly book before. If I have, I'll put the name of it up on the screen. I'll look it up when I'm editing this. But if it's the one that I'm thinking of, it's set in New York and it was really good and I really loved it, but I just can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. So useful, I know. Next I have The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Again, this is another like pristine copy for just £1, so I'm super pleased with this. I'm pretty sure I do actually have a really nice copy of this at my parents' house, but I just thought it would be nice to have a paperback here that I could easily pick up and get to when I want to. So I think I read The Secret Garden when I was really young, but I can't really remember that much about it. But I really loved Frances Hodgson Burnett's other book, A Little Princess. That's one of like my all-time favourites. It makes me cry every time, and I love the film as well, although I know the book and the film are slightly different. So yeah, when I went to the cinema recently, I also saw the trailer for the Secret Garden film, and it just looked so magical, and just it really hit me with a wave of nostalgia, so I really wanted to pick up this book before I go and see that. The next book I have here is a beautiful shiny book, and that is Clean by Juno Dawson. I'm going to stop doing that because that's really annoying. I'll try and keep it still. So I don't think I've ever read a Juno Dawson book before. I don't think so. I'm trying to rack my brains because I know that her books are so different, like they're so varied, but I don't think I have read one before. I do own Meat Market, which I've heard really good things about and I really want to get around to at some point, and I think that this is another one that is sort of similar to that in like the style. So all that I know about this one is it's about a socialite who has a drug overdose and then she gets taken to rehab. I don't know anything else about it, but it's a topic that I haven't really read about before, so I'm really intrigued to see how it's dealt with. I'm really surprised actually that I haven't read a Juno Dawson book before, because she's such a big name in UKYA and I feel like I've read a lot of the other big names. So hopefully I'll get around to either this one or Meat Market soon, so that I can finally say that I've read one of her books. Okay, next is something a little bit different because I didn't actually buy it, but that is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. So I actually got this one a little bit longer ago than some of the others, but I thought I would show it because it is one that I got over the past couple of months. So basically, before the bookshops could open, my local bookshop was like, I'm not sure if they were doing it every day, I only saw it a couple of times, but they were leaving boxes of books outside, and they were mainly either proofs or just ones that they had loads of excess stock of, I assume, that they were just leaving outside, and they had a sign up saying like, please help yourself to these. I assume that was to just clear things out before they got the new stock in when they could reopen again. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, this was one of the ones that they had out there, this proof copy of The Flat Share. So it follows two people who live in the same flat. They actually share a room, but their schedules are such that their paths never cross. So one of them works 9 till 5 and then the other person is like only ever in the flat 9 till 5. So I'm guessing that there's going to be some sort of romance between them and their stories are going to come together. So I'm very intrigued to see. I'm not typically a big romance reader, but as I'm really trying to push myself out my comfort zone and try some new things at the moment, I thought that this would be a good one to give a go to, and it was free, so I couldn't say no. The next thing that I found was Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams. This is one that I've heard really good things about, but I actually don't know that much about it, so let's just read the blurb together. It says, meet Queenie, journalist, catastrophist, expressive, aggressive, loved, lonely, enough? Question mark. A darkly comic and bitingly subversive take on life, love, race and family. Queenie will have you nodding in recognition, crying in solidarity and rooting for this unforgettable character every step of the way. So that doesn't really give too much away, but again, with trying to expand my reading taste, this is an adult book, I believe, and I haven't really read that many just adult contemporaries, so I'm really intrigued to see what this is like. As I said, I've heard some really good things about it, so hopefully I will really enjoy it as well. Next, I have a absolutely massive book that I'm very intimidated by, and that is Middlemarch by George Eliot. I picked this one up because I really love the Penguin English library versions of books, and this is in like really good condition, like the spine isn't even cracked on it, so I thought it was a really good deal to just buy it second hand. So given that I studied English literature at university, I feel like I'm surprisingly not too well versed in a lot of classics, and I've never read Middlemarch. I'm pretty sure I read a short story by George Eliot when I was at uni, but I couldn't tell you which one it was because it was about 4 years ago now, and I can't even guarantee that I actually read it for the seminar, let's be real. So this one is obviously very highly regarded. It's always sort of hailed as being one of the greatest novels of all time, and I'm excited and scared to find out why that is. I mean, this is 919 pages with this. Actually, I probably shouldn't show the last page because spoilers, you know, with this size of font. So yeah, may as well have just made it to 1,000 when it got to that point, to be honest. I actually know nothing about the plot of this, but I really like the edition. It was a good deal and I'm thinking I might try and get around to it at some point. Also, my arm is really tired now, so I'm just going to put it down. Okay, the next couple I did talk about in a reading vlog because I got them during that week, so I won't talk about them too much, but I will show them quickly in this haul. The first one is It by Stephen King. Again, massive. I've never seen the film for It, and I've never read another Stephen King book before either, but when I saw it for £1, as with all of these, I was just like, you know what? It's in good condition, and I would like to read Stephen King at some point, but I'm just very intimidated, and I don't know where to start. I don't think that this is the best place to start because it is so massive and it's such a dense book. So if you've read Stephen King, could you like let me know where you think I should start? Because I'm tempted to start with Carrie, but I think that's because it's one of the only ones that I actually know a bit of the plot about. I don't really know about a lot of the others, so I don't actually know if it is a good place. The other thing that I got at the same time as It was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which after having just held those two massive books feels tiny, like I could fly through it in a matter of hours. So I don't, again, really know too much about this other than it's about a main character called Evelyn Hugo. But I think I don't really want to find out that much about it before going in because I did the same with Daisy Jones and the Six. I somehow avoided everything about that book and I knew very, very little other than the very basic premise that it was about a band. And I really enjoyed experiencing the story without knowing about it beforehand and just going in and being completely new to it. So I'm going to do the same with this, but I am planning on reading this one in September. I'm actually going to be buddy reading it with my friend Maddie, so I will be letting you know what I think about this in my September wrap up. Okay, the next two, again, I didn't actually buy from a charity shop, but I did get them secondhand because my mum gave them to me because they've been on her bookshelf for ages and she has read them and was just like, you can have them, because she knew that I'd been reading some of the authors' other books recently. So they are The Captive Queen and Innocent Traitor, both by Alison Weir. If you've watched any of my recent videos, you probably heard me talking about the 6 Tudor Queen series because I've been reading that recently, and Alison Weir also wrote that. That series is all about the wives of Henry VIII, but these are about different characters. So this one is about Lady Jane Grey, who is someone that I do know a little bit about, but this one is about Eleanor of Aquitaine. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. So this one is set a lot earlier. This is set in 1152 onwards, but I just took them off my mum's hands because I really enjoyed Weir's writing style in the other book of hers that I've read, and I just would like to delve a bit more into historical fiction after having read that first book of the genre. So yeah, I'm excited to get to these. I'll probably read the Lady Jane Grey one first because I do know a little bit about her, and I'll have to do some research on this time period before going into it, I think, so that I'm not going in completely clueless. But yeah, hopefully I'll get around to both of these eventually. Probably not anytime soon because I probably want to get through the books in the 6 Tudor Queen series that are out first, because I'm scared of like confusing myself with all these different timelines. Okay, and on to the final 4 things. These are actually things that I bought new. So 3 of these things I got in Waterstones. The first of those is Pages & Co. Tilly and the Book Wanderers by Anna James. I bought this because it was on my TBR for the Bratz Readathon, which is going on this month, for the prompt Cool Cat, which was to read a book that either features a cat or has a cat on the cover, and I went out on a bit of a whim thinking that there was a cat in here somewhere. There actually is. I mean, there's actually an illustration of a cat somewhere, so I thought that that definitely counted. I'm not gonna be able to find it now. Oh, here. That is definitely a cat, so I'm counting it, and the Cheshire Cat does appear at some point. I mean, it's not very heavily featured, but it's in there, so I think it counts. So as you can tell, I've actually already read this one, and I really enjoyed it. It's one that I've been meaning to read for a very long time. It's so cute. It's about a girl called Tilly who lives above a bookshop with her grandparents, and one day she starts bumping into some of her favourite characters, and she's a bit confused about what's going on, and then she figures out that this is all somehow connected to her mother, who has basically been out of her life since she was a baby. She disappeared. So yeah, highly recommend this. I'll talk about it more in my wrap up, but this I bought because it was on the buy one get one half price table. I can just never say no to that table, which is ridiculous because it's not even like saving that much. Like, I know I could probably get the 2 books cheaper if I was to go elsewhere, but it hooks me in every single time. The one that I bought alongside of it was The Familiars by Stacey Halls. This is one that I didn't really know too much about, but I read the blurb and it just sounded like my sort of thing. So the blurb says, Lancashire 1612. Fleetwood Shuttleworth is 17 years old, married and pregnant for the 4th time. But as mistress at Gawthorpe Hall, she still has no living child. Her husband Richard is anxious for an heir. Then she crosses paths by chance with Alice Gray, a young midwife who promises to help her give birth to a healthy baby. When Alice is drawn into the witchcraft accusations that are sweeping the northwest, Fleetwood risks everything by trying to help her. As the legendary Pendle witch trials approach and Fleetwood's stomach continues to grow, time is running out and both their lives are at stake. So I haven't really heard anyone talk about this, but from the blurb it definitely sounds like something that I would enjoy, because I'm all about things that are anything to do with witchcraft. It's a massive buzzword for me, so this clearly deals with that topic. I do know a little bit about witchcraft in Britain / the world in this time period and continuing, because I did a witchcraft module at university, so I'm interested to see how this sort of aligns with some of the things that I learned about there. Again, it has been like 3 years since I graduated, so I might be a little rusty. Next, I picked up True Story by Kate Reid Petty. This is a book that I saw on M from a little writer M's channel. She talked about it recently and she really enjoyed it, and ever since she first mentioned it, I'd heard nothing about it before then, but ever since her mentioning it, I've just wanted to pick it up and give it a go for myself because it sounds so intriguing, and this is also a signed copy, so I just thought I would treat myself to it, even though it's a little bit more expensive than what I would normally spend on a book. This is like a thriller horror. I think it sort of delves between different genres, and it's about an incident that happens. So the blurb talks about, after a college party, 2 boys drive a girl home drunk and passed out in the back seat. Rumours spread about what they did to her, but later they'll tell the police a different version of events. And then I think it follows their story from there, and as you can see, like, there's loads of different book covers here, so it's, I guess, going to be about how one story can be told in many different ways. And I'm just really interested in books that sort of have different concepts like this and how they're presented. I think from watching Em's video, she was saying that there's like college admission essays and things like that in here, so I'm interested just to see how you get a sense of all of these characters and what they may or may not have done. So again, I think this is probably another really good one for October, like that sort of vibe. And the final thing that I bought for myself recently is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I bought this because it's the book pick for the Dark Academics book club this month, and also just because I've heard a lot of people talking about it and I thought I would give it a go for myself. Dark academia and that sort of whole vibe is something that I've become very, very interested in, so I thought like reading along with the books for the book club was a really good place to start with getting into it. I think Sabine and Leonie have also picked this for their World Readers book club as well, so I thought I could like join in with multiple live shows by giving this one a read this month. Again, I don't really know too much about this, and it's another one that I'd like to go into without too much knowledge, because I think it's going to be quite a mysterious sort of vibe, and I like to go into books like that without knowing too much. But I think in brief, it's about a girl whose cousin or some form of relative is ill, and she goes to stay with her, and then it's very questionable as to whether she really is ill or not, or if it's all psychological. I think that's the sort of vibe that this book has. I could be wrong, but if I am, then I'll find out when I read it. So those were all of the books that I accumulated recently, mainly from charity shops, but also a few from the shops as well. I probably won't do another haul for a while because I really am trying to limit the amount of books that I buy, especially books that I buy brand new. But as always, there's going to be things that come out that I want to see, and I'm probably going to be keeping going to the charity shops. I'll probably go to charity shops in Cornwall when I'm there, so I may pick up a few things from there, and if I do, I'm sure I'll talk about them at some point on my channel. But yeah, other than that, that is it for today's video. Let me know in the comments which one of these books you think I should get around to reading first, or if you've read any of them, what you thought of them. I hope you're all keeping safe and staying well, and I will see you again next time. Bye!